HorrorCast. Let the game begin.
I'm having a blast. This is the most fun I've had without lubricant.
Hey, this is Dena.
This is Tony.
Welcome to this episode of the HorrorCast for July 2013, your podcast for all things horror related. So, our topics today are a little random. Basically, I've been watching a lot of random horror movies on Netflix Instant, and I just figured it'd make for some interesting discussions. So, this episode is just kind of based around that. And as long as you have a Netflix account, you can watch these too. Just stream them and watch them on your monitor or with your Xbox or Wii, and tell us what you think of some of this stuff in the comments section. I swear I have not been paid by Netflix, but I love this concept. Their selection could be better, but I love that I can watch movies legally through the internet. But I've almost made a hobby out of watching movies about real-life serial killers and Saw ripoffs. Speaking of which, I also finally watched Saw recently, so I wanted to talk about that a little.
Thank God.
I know, not exactly timely. The series ended like, 1 or 2 years ago, and I'm just now watching the first movie. I'm
going to go ahead and spoil it for you. After the second one, it goes downhill from there.
Okay, well, I was... I'll get more into that later, but I was thinking about maybe watching the second one because the first one left it so wide open.
The second one is actually my favorite.
Okay.
And, I should clarify. It's not that they go downhill after the second one. It's just that after the second one, they start getting more and more, I guess, ridiculous is the most appropriate thing. It's just like all these things going on, like, depend on these people, like everything that goes on depends on this guy going through this door at this certain time.
Wow.
So it's just like, like I understand, like, through time and preparation you can somewhat predict how people will react, but at some point there's definitely times when you watch it and are just like, oh, come on, there's no way you would know that,
Oh, but anyway, I just wanted to share my opinion on that, and I wanted some input from you guys too. Other than that, I just have one thing to plug. I did finally cover E.T. for the Atari 2600 on Pixels as Big as Cats. Talk about scary. So you can find that on my section on Channel Awesome or Blistered Thumbs.
I remember playing that when I am really gonna age myself here. I remember playing that when I was a kid. I had no idea what to do.
Same here.
I played it when I was like, when it came to video games in the beginning, I was very much a late bloomer because I had like an Atari when I was like 10, and I think everybody else had like a Nintendo or Super Nintendo or whatever. But I was happy with my little 2600, and it was just like, oh, E.T. I like the movie. I put it in. I'm like, this sucks. And I honestly, part of me thought for a while that the guy in the trench coat was a flasher.
That should not even surprise me that you thought that.
But, hey, 2 words: Custard's Revenge. That's my case.
Yeah, I didn't know how to play it either when I was a little kid, but for some weird reason I enjoyed it, I guess just because I was a little kid and I just didn't... I was easily amused, I guess.
Yeah.
And this one kid I knew who was like older, he was actually an older brother of a friend of mine who I guess was really good at video games. He showed me how to beat it, and I'm like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. Cool. And from that point on, I actually kind of enjoyed it a little bit, but, looking back, I realized how bad it was.
Yeah, and then didn't they make an E.T. game for the PlayStation?
Oh, I don't remember what all system. Yeah, there were actually other E.T. games, and I don't remember. Yeah,
there was one that I forget what it was called, but it came out for the PlayStation, and a lot of the reviews for it were like, well, at least it's better than the Atari version.
Which isn't saying much.
Yeah, botulism is better than the Atari version, but that's again, that's anyway.
So yeah, went a little off topic there, but
a bit.
Is there anything you wanted to plug?
A couple of things. I'm working on a new series right now called Tony's Tech Talk. And okay, I just want to say this right now. Anybody that says that I stole this title from Lord Cat because he had the Tuesday Tech Talk thing, I contacted him, asked if it was okay. He said go for it. So there. Working
It sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it right away.
Yeah. I'm working on the first episode right now. I got Matt Burkett coming in with the first episode, aka Apollo Z Hack, for the first episode. We're doing the first generation iPod Touch versus the first gen Microsoft Zune. And I did this because I recently acquired a Zune and I fucking love it. It is amazing. And it doesn't have a freaking touchpad. yeah, I'm not a fan of the touchpads. But let's see. I'm going to Con Bravo.
Cool.
More than likely, yeah. I'm going there for Project Million Entertainment. I don't know what I'll be doing, but hey, it's a free trip to Canada. So
there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, get to see some friends and stuff. Other than that, really can't say I got anything in the works right now. Just doing scripting for my new show, and that's really about it.
Okay, cool.
So, Dena, I hear you watched Saw recently.
Oh, it was so awesome! It was really good. I was surprised, actually, at how much I liked it. Because I've been, I've heard a lot about the Saw franchise, about how it's, like, super gory, and not that I don't have a problem with gore. I kind of have a problem with, just for me, for my own taste, I don't really like graphic depictions of torture.
Yeah.
And so I avoid the Hostel movies like the plague, and I always felt like Saw was kind of in that, the series, was kind of in that same genre, and so I just avoided the movies.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about, and I think that this is a subject for another podcast, but like Hostel is what I call gore movie. It's not really about how scary they can be. It's like how much graphic blood, gore, and violence can we possibly squeeze into an R-rated movie?
It's not even just the gore; it's the torture aspect.
Yeah.
Specifically, which it's a little weird to me that that's like this big subgenre, but whatever. To each their own. I'm not judging anybody who likes it or advocating censorship. I'm just saying I don't like that personally.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit I kind of like the first one for some strange reason, but when it comes to the second one, I think the second one was like an all-girl or an all-lady ensemble.
Oh, you're talking about Hostel, yeah.
Yeah, and okay, spoiler alert for the end of Hostel 2, people die. But when it comes to the point where the lady in Hostel 2 cuts the man's penis and testicles off and the dogs eat it.
That part I didn't know about.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done.
There's almost no gore in the first Saw movie. I was really surprised by that. I think I may have mentioned this in an earlier episode, but I actually what got me to watch it is I caught it on TV one day, and it was like partway through, it was like at about the point, spoiler alert, I guess. I should have mentioned that there were going to be spoilers in this segment, but whatever. I was at the point where Dread Pirate Roberts. I forget the name of the character he played in this movie, but that actor is always going to be Dread Pirate Roberts to me.
Carrie Elwes.
Yeah. Anyway, when he was pretending to poison the other guy and they'll turn the light, and I thought that sequence was actually kind of funny. But anyway, I started watching at that point, and then the movie actually kind of got my attention. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this for a while and see what it's like. And his wife and daughter had been kidnapped, and this was at the point where the kidnappers were going to kill them, and he was on the phone with them, and it was getting really the shit was really about to hit the fan. I stopped watching at that point because it was looking so good. I'm like, okay, I have to watch this from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. So, and that was that was 2 years ago. It took me forever to get around to actually watching it, but
the one thing that I loved about the first Saw was the ending. I know, at least for myself, I never saw that coming.
That was freaking nuts. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
That was honestly, I thought they could have ended it right there and never make another Saw movie. That would have been perfect. To me, that seemed like a really long Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, it almost was. I almost want to nitpick and go, well, it's not possible that he should have been able to lay perfectly still for that long, but screw it. I just think it's so cool that was so unexpected. Oh,
they actually explain how he's able to lay still that long in the subsequent movies. Basically, okay, I'll get spoilers. Basically, take a shot every time we say spoilers. He basically injects himself with, I forget what they say it is. This is either in, I think this is in Saw 3 or, no, it's in Saw 2. It's at the end of Saw 2. He injects himself with a serum of some kind. I forget what he calls it. But it gives him the appearance. It slows down his breathing and his heart rate to make him appear dead. The concept is they'll be too busy trying to figure out what's going on that even if he is breathing, that they won't be able to notice it.
So yeah, that's interesting. That they actually have an explanation for how he pulled that off, because that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
There was one thing at the end of the movie that I actually kind of missed when I first saw it, and I didn't catch it until I read the Wikipedia article. I thought that when he says to the remaining guy in the room, the key's in the drain. Mm-hmm. I thought he meant the key's stuck in the drain, he's basically telling him, okay, you can let yourself out. I didn't realize he's actually telling him, key's gone down the drain and you're screwed, bye.
Yeah, also, here's the thing. If he's unconscious and underwater, wouldn't he have drowned?
Oh, yeah, good point.
I mean...
maybe...
I mean, granted, I'm not I don't know how, I'm not well versed in how the human body works, but I'm pretty sure that once you're knocked out, no amount of cold and or hot water will suddenly just bring you back to life. It's just it was just by a miracle that he just happened to wake up when he did and realize, oh shit, I'm in a bathtub underwater.
Well, I've only seen it once, and it was a while back at this point. Is it possible that maybe he was had his head out of the water, and then maybe he woke up shortly after his head went underwater?
Well, see, again, I refer you to Saw 2. When Adam is being placed, which, by the way, Adam, the actor, FYI, was also the writer of Saw.
Oh, that's interesting.
And he also had a bit part in one of the Matrix movies. But anyway, there's a instance where they show him being lowered into the tub, and while Jigsaw's getting prepared, you see him slowly sink in, while he's doing that. So maybe his body just kind of shocks him into waking up or something after being underwater for a certain period of time, but I don't know. That's the one thing that just grinds my gears about that whole thing. That's the one thing I'm never gonna let up on. It's just like he would have died in the beginning because he would have drowned. But also, it's a great movie. It's a really good movie to see a very subtle Danny Glover.
Oh yeah, I forgot Danny Glover was in that. I was so focused on the two guys in the room.
Before he goes batshit insane.
His character in the series, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, general note, do not play the Saw video games. They are atrocious.
I remember you saying you were going to do a review of them or something.
Oh my, yeah, I had planned to do this whole retrospective thing on the Saw series, but then a certain somebody beat me to it. Fucking but okay, the first Saw game, not that bad. Second one's just awful. Like, just okay, for all you achievement whores like myself out there, you get an achievement for standing around for 5 minutes.
Wow.
Like, and the achievement is called "You Wasted Your Life."
Okay, that's kind of funny. It's worth it just for that.
Yeah, and like on the second one, if you get an achievement for entering the Konami code. No other reason than just for that. But it is what it is. But let's see. Oh, also little trivia. There's a bit of a difference in the widescreen version of Saw and the full screen version. Because just one specific thing, Lee Winnell, the writer and the guy that played Adam, when they had to go back and do reshoots for certain scenes and all, excuse me, Danny Glover's partner, the Asian cop guy, apparently he was not available to do pickups or whatever. So they filmed a shot of him like with a shotgun going through, and they talk about this on the DVD, like on the special features. They film a scene of him walking through the warehouse where Jigsaw is holding a shotgun. And on the widescreen version, his face is cropped out, so you can't really see him. But on the full screen version, it's Lee Winnell, the writer and the guy that plays Adam.
Oops.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm looking at my DVD right now, and I actually have the widescreen version.
Yeah.
And I see that it has commentary on it. I need to watch that. I need to watch that with a commentary.
Yeah, I will. The Saw 1 commentary is the commentary with James Wan, Cary Elwes, and Lee Winnell. Probably the most entertaining commentary ever.
Oh, cool.
You get to hear Cary Elwes do his Michael Caine impression. It's actually really funny. The only thing that really sucks, again, spoilers. The only thing that sucks is that Cary Elwes doesn't come back until the last Saw movie.
Yeah, I read that. I went ahead and kind of glanced over the Wikipedia articles for the rest of the series, just because I was curious when they were ever gonna, when he was gonna come back. Because last time we see him, he's cut his foot off, and he's like, "I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna be fine. I'll come back for you."
Yeah. Well, the real reason why. The real reason why he wasn't in the subsequent movies, right? He actually sued Lionsgate.
Oh, oops.
Because, okay, here was the situation, and I realize we're going on a tangent here, but,
That's what we do.
Yeah. The the thing is that, okay, Saw was made for like $1.1 million, which in Hollywood is literally almost nothing. Like Hollywood considers $6 million a shoestring budget. So this was just unheard of.
I heard it was made on a pretty low budget.
Yeah, it made over 100 times that. And Cary Elwes agreed to do it for scale, I believe, which is basically basically actors' minimum wage, basically.
Yeah. And
he thought that since the film did so well, he felt entitled to additional monies based on the success of the movie. Which, I can kind of see it. It's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
So he ended up suing Lionsgate for additional monies, which I believe he ended up getting. And then he went on to star in Saw, he ended up being in Saw 7, because I refuse to call it Saw 3D. It's like, and they're already talking about rebooting Saw, and if they do that, I will publicly shoot myself in the face. I will do it on camera, upload it to YouTube. I'll start it off with saying, "Fuck you, Lionsgate," bang.
Well, that's Granted, in this case, the sequels didn't come out quite so quickly, but that's essentially, what happened with Halloween. It's like only about a year after the last Halloween sequel came out, they rebooted the freaking franchise.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to get into that. I don't even want to open up that can of worms.
Let's discuss Halloween 3. No.
I like Halloween 3.
Halloween 3 is fine on its own, not as part of the franchise. That's my only thing.
Going off on a tangent. What they had intended to do with Halloween was have it be like an anthology series.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they made a sequel to the Michael Myers.
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know why they did that if they were going to do an anthology series, but in any case, that was the plan, and it was just going to be every movie would be its own little thing.
Yeah, apparently it was going to be like the Final Fantasy of movie franchises.
But yeah, and then so Halloween 3, they did something totally different, and I guess audiences didn't like that. They wanted Michael Myers to come back, and so the rest of the series was about Michael Myers, which...
Well, Michael Myers was in Halloween 3 on a TV set. On a fucking TV!
That was kind of funny. Yeah, I'm actually like a total purist when it comes to Halloween. I only like the first one, and I don't like any of the sequels, because the first one I think is just brilliantly shot and everything.
Yeah.
And other than 3, because I enjoy 3 for the fact that it's own thing and it's really fun, but as far as the Michael Myers movies, I only like the first one, and the rest, it just sort of like drops completely into slasher film territory.
Yeah, it's like...
And I don't like that at all. And it's not like Nightmare on Elm Street or with Child's Play, where they can really have fun with it and do crazy stuff. It's just like, how many people can we kill in one movie? And
it's like on Halloween 4. It's like okay, this girl banged her boyfriend on her best friend's dad's bed. They're gonna die. It's just it's just going through the motions. It's like okay, she's a bitch, she's a whore, he's a douchebag. They're all gonna die.
Yeah, that was another thing. The characters really got annoying. Yeah. After maybe the second. I don't recall exactly what point. I've seen like all of the movies like once, because I didn't really care to ever go back and watch them again. The first one I love, and I'll go back and watch it every single Halloween. But the sequels, fuck them.
Yeah, it's not so much that they're even characters. It's like if it's a personification of the word asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like they have no other emotion other than fuck you, I'll do what I want. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but getting back to Saw, one of the things I loved about that movie...
We were here for a reason, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I loved about that movie is that it didn't do that, and you actually cared about the characters. and I'm actually going to get into that rant in a little while. But yeah, I guess we've more or less wrapped up the Saw discussion. But yeah, I'm thinking I might watch Saw 2. And I'm curious what you guys... I mean, do you guys think I would like Saw 2, or should I, like, take a chance and watch Saw 3? I'm probably not going to watch all of them, but should I maybe at least watch 2?
Actually, in my opinion...
Here's what you guys think.
In my opinion, I think you should watch all of them. Just because, well, for one, like, I think, in a way, like, when you watch all of them... you get like a bit of closure on the whole franchise, which is a reason to not reboot it. But you know, you finally figure out what happened to Dr. Gordon. You finally figure out what happened to Adam. You find out you find out a lot of things. This is one franchise that I would recommend people watch at least once, because it's fun, and it's not nearly as violent or gory as like Hostel or Hostel 2, especially Hostel 2. But it's not.
I'll tell you what, I couldn't even, talking about Hostel 2, I could not even bring myself to watch Phalus's review of Hostel 2.
Oh, jeez.
I watched his review of Hostel 1 from across the room. And what I did was I read the Wikipedia article, and I read, like, there's a scene in Hostel 2 where one guy cannibalizes another guy while he's still alive, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I can watch that. I'm gonna skip that video.
Hostel really got to me when that Japanese girl, like, saw in the reflection how disfigured her face was, and just casually walked onto the train rails and just killed. Oh, it was just so sad.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
Spoilers, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's just I was just so sad. I felt anyway. Onto better and happier things. John Wayne Gacy.
Well, not quite yet. So speaking of Saw, I ended up only watching 2 of them. I think there's more. On Netflix, I watched a couple of Saw ripoffs that I thought I would talk about briefly. The first one is called Die. It's a double meaning. It's referring to, one dice.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's about a guy gets all these people, captures all these people, and has them do these, runs them through these tests where, like, one person has to make a decision that, could end up killing the other person, and, they have to roll the die, and, it's actually an okay movie. From the very beginning, this kid watches his father play Russian roulette, and it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be the guy. He's going to grow up to be the guy who captures all the other people and makes them do shit. But it was an okay movie. Funny thing about watching Saw made me realize that this movie really wasn't that good. But it wasn't. Maybe I just had very low expectations going into it. But it was okay. It was watchable. So that's about all I have to say about that. It didn't go into too much gore either. It didn't go the quote-unquote torture porn route.
Yeah.
So, surprisingly, I was half expecting it to, but it actually wasn't that bad.
I actually kind of like that concept about, like, using a die to use it. 'Cause, I mean, it's different.
Yeah. There's very much a die theme through the whole movie. Like, he puts these tattoos on people where they have dots on their wrist. Each one's different, it represents a different side of the die. Oh, and there were 6 people because there were 6 sides of the die.
Yeah.
So
I just wonder how far they'll go with this concept, like, from the people that brought you die. Now, Rochambeau, paper, rock, scissors.
Give him the nuts, I'll shoot him in the nuts.
Ow.
So yeah, that was that one. And the other one, oh my god, it seriously pissed me off. It's called Truth or Die, and just unless you're one of those people who can totally shut their brain off and like laugh at a bad movie.
I can do that.
Yeah. But this movie just seriously pissed me off. This is one of those, like... It's actually an Aussie film, which surprises me because it has all those tropes that I hate about American horror films these days, where you really hate all the characters, and the characters are very cliche, and God, every single character in this movie is an asshole, except for, like, this one girl who's this total, like, goody two-shoes, you know, oh, you know, don't kill us, we're good people, nah, nah, nah. You know, and it's just like... It's one of those revenge films where, like, a bunch of college students get kidnapped. I think there's, like, 5 of them. I forget, whatever. Anyway, they all get kidnapped, and it's, like, it's the whole truth or dare thing. Like, you know, you have to choose truth or dare, and you know, like, this... One thing that surprised me about this movie, it's actually not gory. It doesn't go into torture porn territory, but, I just hated all the damn characters. The movie was, I will say one good thing about it. It was pretty well paced, and it was pretty intense. It's nowhere near as good as Saw, but it just sort of devolves into this. You really don't care about any of these victims, and the very worst one, and she doesn't even reveal just how horrible she is until the end, and yeah, I'm not so much trying to avoid spoilers so much as I just don't even want to go into describing this damn movie because I hated it that much.
Wow.
But yeah, it was awful.
That reminds me of not really it reminds me of like a horror movie called Game or Die.
Oh yeah. God, I think did Phalis do that one?
I don't know.
I think I may have seen his review.
Oh my God, it was so horrible. But the cover.
That Frankie Muniz in it?
No, that's Stay Alive.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That one, yeah. No, this one was called Game or Die, and the reason why I thought it was a horror movie was the fact of you look on the cover, and it's what looks like a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation controller. And it looks as though the thumb has been literally surgically attached to the analog stick.
Ha! Interesting.
Yeah, but when you watch it, it's nothing like that. It's like it's still in this concept of like, ooh, you're sucked into a game, you die in the game, you die in real life, blah 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 blah. But it plays it almost like a teen romantic comedy.
Oh, what? That's weird.
Yeah. It's just it starred the girl that played Topanga in Boy Meets World. Mm-hmm. It was just like, really, really, and be like the Muse, really. But it was just, oh God, it was just awful.
I could swear I've heard something about that, but it's not quite like clicking. But I can swear I've heard of that somewhere.
But it was just, oh God, it's like horrible CGI. It's like it made it made CGI from Virtua Fighter look good, like the first Virtua Fighter.
That's the funny thing about whenever they have a video game in a horror movie, anytime they show a video game on TV or in a movie, it always looks dated, and half the time the sound effects are like Pac-Man for the Atari 2600.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of the movie Stay Alive, this is something that really pissed me off. Okay, and you will get it. You as you know.
You're gonna say.
as the Silent Hill aficionado, you should be equally pissed off by this.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying things about how to kill a boss in Silent Hill 4, but the method was for Silent Hill 1.
Yeah, and they referred to the boss as a her, even though you're not actually fighting Alessa in the end unless you get... I think there's one of the bad endings.
Yeah, and that's why, and that is why I cannot watch Stay Alive. Because as soon
just for that.
Yeah, that is the only reason. I can watch it because there's cute girls in it and stuff, but and it's not too terrible. But it's like, as soon as they're like, it's like, you have to empty out all your bullets. It's like, no, but I have the hyper blaster. Oh, well, that's why. It's just like, oh, God. Well, again, rant, tangent, whatever. Again, that method works for Silent Hill 1. And if you have the hyper blaster, that method will not work. So...
Yeah, I actually, before I even knew what movie that was, I came across that clip on YouTube and I watched it and I'm like, what? Because I didn't even get what they were... Someone had to point out to me that they were actually talking about Silent Hill 1, saying Silent Hill 4, because I never got the Hyper Blaster in Silent Hill, so, there were a lot of the extras in that game that I just never bothered doing, and I'm just like, Hyper Blaster to beat a female boss? What the hell are they talking about? What Silent Hill game is that from?
The hyper blaster, I believe you get it when you get the UFO after you get the UFO ending.
Okay.
But in Silent Hill 2, I did get the chainsaw just so I can make James do the blood curdling scream. It's just fun. You just have him stand there for a minute and you're like, ah! Just funny. Anyway,
but yeah, about that second movie I talked about, I'm really not liking that trend in newer horror movies where they intentionally make every character an asshole. And I think we have Eli Roth to blame for that, because now he has explained, I've seen interviews and stuff where he explains that he does this because, like, it's too cliche to have the nice person survive, but
that's the whole point.
I get where he's going with that theory, but the thing is, why would I want someone to... why would I pull for a character that I think is an asshole?
Yeah.
And ironically, they're the two biggest assholes in this movie. One of them is ironically the first to get killed, and I was so happy. I didn't even give a shit. And the second one ended up surviving and getting off scot-free, and there wasn't even any real, aside from being tied to a chair for a few hours, there was no real punishment for their crimes, basically, and that just bothered the shit out of me. Another thing I ended up doing was watching movies about real-life serial killers on Netflix, because I just noticed that there are so many. So one day, I just I'm gonna watch all of these, and I just have gradually watched all of the ones I could find on there. The ones about well-known serial killers, anyway. There are a lot of other, true story type movies on Netflix that are about serial killers, and I just didn't bother with those, but I did watch all the ones based on serial killers that I knew of. The first one I watched was about Ed Gein, and it's called either In the Light of the Moon or Ed Gein. It goes by either title. And that one was pretty interesting. It felt a little bit like Psycho. Like he was hearing the voice of his dead mother telling him to kill people. And it just, I don't know how accurate it was, but it felt genuine. So I'm not saying it was accurate, but it was an interesting movie, and it was interesting. I don't want to say I enjoyed it, because it's obviously disturbing, and but
yeah, that's not really something you want to tell people. So it's like, oh yeah, that movie about that serial killer, killed all those kids. Fucking love that movie. It's just it's like,
I love seeing Ed Gein kill women and
yeah, I think
decapitate them and hang their bodies upside down so all the blood will drain out and he can stuff them later.
I think if you say that to the wrong person, then you get on some kind of list.
Yeah, but it's interesting about Ed Gein. He doesn't even really count as a serial killer because he actually only killed 2 people. But we tend to refer to him as a serial killer. But yeah, he really only killed 2 people, which doesn't quite count.
Oh, technicalities.
I just thought it was interesting. For the most part, he just he dug up corpses and did stuff with the body parts. I recommend reading the Wikipedia article on Ed Gein, by the way. It is so messed up, it's almost funny. I mean, it's not really funny, but just, you read it and it's like something about, he had a box with 10 vulvas in it, and it's like, what? This just doesn't seem like it really happened.
Thing, you just turn on the news, and the necklace was made of vaginas. And it's just like, oh my god!
It's so weird. I mean, not for the faint of heart, I guess, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Also, one I would recommend you guys looking up, Ed Fisher. You talk about you talk about a fucked up person. Oh my god.
So was there a movie about him, or do you mean the Wikipedia, or is there like a Wikipedia article?
There's both. There was
okay.
Not a movie, but there was a documentary about.
Okay. I might try to find that. See if it's on Netflix Instant later.
I think if it's not on Netflix, I know for a fact it's on YouTube.
I'm just listing these in the order that I watched them. There was one about John Wayne Gacy. It was just called Gacy.
Oh, yes, I have seen this one.
And I have to point out something hilarious that I was watching this and I'm like, I know that actor. I have seen him somewhere. I looked him up on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
This was the same guy who played Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh my god.
I will never watch that movie in the same way again.
It's like Pee-wee pissed him off. He's going to end up in his basement.
Yeah, come down to my basement, Pee-wee. Help me lay down this line. I'm totally joking about serial killers. Oh my god. But yeah, Gacy was interesting. They kind of toned down his crimes a little bit, and there was almost no reference to the rape aspect of his crimes.
Yeah, this one kind of just screamed made-for-TV movie.
It did. I think there were obscenities in it, which made me realize, oh, it's not a made-for-TV movie. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a made-for-TV movie if the TV was like FX.
Yeah, this goes for, I want to say that almost all of these movies about serial killers that I've watched, almost all of them appear to be made by the same company or something, because it's always a shot close up of the guy's face and just his last name is the title, like Gacy, and there's a picture of him with the clown makeup. And the one called Dahmer, it's a close up of him and it just says Dahmer at the title.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Yeah, that one was interesting too. That one also kind of felt like it was made for TV because it wasn't like they didn't show much.
Yeah.
But interesting. Another case of
I was gonna say, Dena, you sound so disappointed about that. It's like, oh, come back. I want to see the sexual assault. It's like, no, hey, didn't show not even an ass shot. This is bullshit.
I just think it's amusing because, again, it makes me think that these were all made by the same company.
Yeah, I kid, of course.
Yeah, and the same as the one with Gacy, how they almost didn't mention the rape aspect of his crimes. With Dahmer, they didn't mention the cannibalism at all.
Yeah, I think wasn't even the Dahmer one like wasn't that one about the his last victim that got away?
Yeah, a lot of the movie focused on that, and at first I was a little bit disappointed because they didn't get into his past or anything too much, and it didn't. You watch a movie about a serial killer, you expect it to tell like their past and then their crimes and then how they were sentenced and put to death or whatever. And this movie didn't really do that, but it just sort of takes like a chunk of his life and focuses on that. And I actually think it was an interesting character study. I don't know how accurate this one was, but well, like I said, they left off all the references to cannibalism, but
yeah,
it was interesting. It was an interesting look into his head, or the head of this character, whether he was actually like Jeffrey Dahmer or not.
Yeah, the one about Gacy, the one that that I really liked about it was the fact that I think even throughout the movie, I think it's kind of, you can watch it and like he knows eventually he's going to get caught because of the fact that, you know, spoilers, you know, he buries the bodies in the not really the basement, but in the foundation.
Yeah, the crawl space, I think.
Yeah, and but the smell keeps getting out. The smell of the decomposing bodies.
Yeah.
Keeps
God, I
getting
think
out.
he ended up. I think in all he killed something like 30 people.
Yeah.
And he didn't bury all of them there, but he buried as many in there as he could, and then he ran out of room, and he had to like bury some in the yard and chucked some into the river, and
yeah, you know you've got a problem killing people when you run out of room on your crawl space.
That's how you know you have a problem.
He's like, really? I would think it would be after you killed your first person. No, it's after you realize you've killed so many. There's no more room in your crawl space. Like, oh, okay. But yeah, I mean,
this episode, aren't we?
Yeah, we're gonna get hate mail. but yeah, but in all seriousness, but yeah, people kept complaining to him about smell emanating from the house and everything, and no matter how he tried to cover it up, it would still linger. So it was just like, yeah, this is inevitable.
Yeah, that was interesting how they sort of focused on that. There was someone even made a joke at some point like, you smell almost as bad as Gacy's basement. I'm like, you're not gonna find that so funny later on.
Oh Lord.
It was a really messed up, amusing.
Oh, it's funny, but still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Kane Hodder play in one of the?
I was getting to that. I guess we can skip to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Ed Gein, and I know I'm mispronouncing his name. I know it's Ed Gein, but for some reason I'm just really used to saying Ed Gein. So don't bother correcting me because I know, but I'm just used to saying Ed Gein. But anyway, because I'm gonna get 10,000 comments saying it's Gein, not Gein. Anyway, it was called Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainfield, and yeah, Kane Hodder played Ed Gein, and that one was awful. I'm sorry.
Okay, for the uninitiated, Kane Hodder is a professional stuntman, probably best known for playing Jason Voorhees in 4 of the Friday the 13th movies. And he was the stunt coordinator for Freddy vs. Jason. Oh,
that I didn't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, he was either the stunt coordinator or stunt consultant. Or I
didn't know he was involved in Freddy vs. Jason. That's interesting.
Yeah. But, he was showing the new guy like how to move and act like Jason and everything. So
that's cool. I noticed he did not play Jason in that one, but that's cool. He was at least involved. I know like Jason has actually been played by a lot of different actors or stunt guys or whatever, but I always think of like Kane Hodder as being like the Jason, you know.
Kane Hodder's the only person to play it multiple times, I believe.
That's interesting. Yeah, I know he played him in Part 7, which was my favorite. But
yeah, I think the last one he played it in was Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah, which, you know, take that for what you will.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play Jason after that either.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. But getting back to this, okay, I've seen pictures of Ed Gein. He is a small individual.
I'm about to mention that.
Yeah, when I think of like who will portray Ed Gein, this very small person, I got an idea. How about that big tall fuck over there? That's brilliant.
Yeah, he is way too big and burly to be playing Ed Gein, who is, like you said, he's sort of a little, I mean, I don't know his height or anything, but any pictures I've seen with him, he's this thin, unopposing, he looks sort of like a little old man, actually. Yeah. He's not really, he's not that old in the pictures I've seen, but, you know, he just looks like a little guy, not someone you would expect, you know.
And Kane Hodder is huge.
Yeah, he really is.
It's just
Apparently, and it's funny because the only thing I've seen Kane Hodder in is I think the only thing I've seen him in is playing Jason. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
Seeing, apparently, I guess he actually is a legitimate actor. He's not just a stunt guy. I always thought he was just a stunt
Also,
guy.
I believe he also played in the movie Hatchet as the monster.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that, so I mean don't hold me to it, but I think he was in that.
He also played Leatherface in one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels. I don't remember which one. He's played 2 horror icons.
Yeah, he played Victor Crowley in Hatchet. Yeah. Oh, he played Jason in Jason X.
Oh, that's cool.
So not much better, but okay.
That's just interesting that he came back to do it again. I just think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, he was in the video game Pumpkinhead 2. Oh my sweet lord. That just gives me a chuckle. But anywho, moving along.
So anyway, it was interesting seeing Kane Hodder in a movie, but yeah, he was horribly miscast. It's funny, actually, I was watching this movie and I didn't even know he was in it until I started watching and his name comes up in the credits and I'm like, what? was Robert Englund and Doug Bradley not available? Could they not find Brad Dourif? So yeah, obviously Kane Hodder was really miscast in that movie, and it kind of took the movie was way inaccurate. It had him killing like 5 or 6 people and in a really gory ways, and it felt like it was trying. Ironically, it felt like it was trying to be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Mm-hmm.
and the movie was awful. And I think it's kind of in poor taste to take a real events that involved actual victims and twisting it into a gory, horror flick like that. At least in the case, and I know that like both Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are inspired by the Ed Gein case, but at least they don't say they don't have Ed Gein in the title and saying based on a true story and shit like that when it clearly isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they crossed a line a little bit. That movie bothered me a little bit. Plus, it just wasn't very good.
Also, one serial. I don't know if you would consider her a serial killer or not, but one that I would recommend. Yeah, okay, yeah, she is a serial killer. The movie Monster.
Oh, okay.
The one that Charlize Theron did with Christina Ricci.
Okay.
It's actually really, really good. Charlize got really uglied up for this movie. I'm just saying. I mean that in the best possible way. It's genuinely a really good movie. It's based on the life of Eileen Warnos, a Daytona Beach prostitute who kills men. Basically, she would do hitchhiking and do her thing, and then kill the men afterwards. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, look up if you ever get a chance, try to watch Monster. Very good movie.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. There are also 2 movies about Ted Bundy. One of them was really entertaining. It was actually, and again, I think it's made by the same company that made Gacy and Dahmer, except they actually have his full name in the title. But it was interesting. Ted Bundy apparently was a really interesting person. The movie was weird though. It was entertaining, and it was oddly comedic for the subject matter, which I can't decide if that's good or bad, because there were things in that movie that I thought were legitimately funny, and then I would go, oh god, I'm laughing at a true story about a serial killer.
Ted Bundy, isn't that the guy that proposed marriage to somebody while he was during his trial?
I think he did. He was apparently very charming, and that's how he lured a lot of his victims. Of course, all his victims were females who he, raped and tortured and stuff. But apparently he was very, handsome and charming, and he used that to his advantage a lot. And I think I remember something about that. But this movie was weird. It felt almost like a sitcom in the beginning. It was like a parody, or I don't know. It was weird. It's like it starts off with him stealing things, and there's this scene where he's driving past this a store or a building of some kind. It has these two big potted trees, and he pulls his car over, gets out of his car, grabs one of the trees, puts it in his car, and drives off. And this is like in the middle of the day.
Oh my god.
It was so random, and there's a lot of weird stuff like that in this movie. Like, he must have been. I mean, I don't know if this movie was accurate, to him really, but just it was interesting. Just the weird stuff he did. He did all kinds of stuff just because he could get away with it, like stealing things when people weren't looking, and you know, he eventually escalated to like sneaking into dorm rooms and just bludgeoning women in their sleep, and it's just
God.
It's crazy. One thing that bothered me about this movie was he had a wife or a girlfriend. I'm not sure. I don't recall if they ever really specified, but like there were so many times where like there should have been like a red flag going up because he treated her. He practically raped her and stuff, and she would just like be like, okay, whatever, and I'm like, I don't know. She really came across like an idiot. I'm not saying she was like that in real life, because I don't even know if she existed in real life. I don't think she did. I think she was an amalgam of two people. But yeah, that one I recommend. It was interesting. But yeah, the movie's oddly comical. There's a scene where there's this montage of him just like driving his car across the U.S. and he's like killing women over and over, and it's like, oh my god, how many people did he kill?
Good Lord.
And it's almost funny. It's just it feels so exaggerated. But I looked up the amount of people he killed, and I don't think it was exaggerated. But it was a very entertaining movie, and I do recommend that one. Oh, there was a random cameo from Tom Savini in that movie.
Oh, Tom Savini.
He was, so I thought that was kind of cool. That's not quite as bad as having Kane Hodder play your main character, but yeah, that was interesting. I can't remember what role he played. It was someone who was like a detective who was questioning Ted Bundy or something. And speaking of Kane Hodder, he was in the other movie about Ted Bundy. It was just like a bit part. And I think he was a warden towards the end.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
But yeah, it's interesting watching all of these movies and noticing what they do and don't have in common. It's just interesting. But this other movie about Ted Bundy, I admit I was getting a little burned out on the serial killer thing by this point, and I didn't fully pay attention, but it wasn't as interesting as the other.
I wonder how far the miscasting of Kane Hodder is going to go. It's like, Kane Hodder is Aquaman. What? No. Like, it's like I love Kane Hodder though, but they need to really get him like roles appropriate for him, not just.
It was interesting. Like I said, it was interesting actually seeing him play a character in a movie and not just being basically a stuntman in a mask.
Yeah.
So I had never really seen him in anything. I've never seen his face before, so it was kind of interesting.
Also, he's got plenty of documentaries about him out there too. So those are also good to watch. He's a regular on the horror convention circuit.
I think I've heard that. But getting back to this second movie about Ted Bundy, yeah, it wasn't. Unfortunately, this movie and the other one are both labeled Ted Bundy, and they're both on Netflix. But this second one, I could not find it on Wikipedia or IMDb or anything, so I really don't know anything about it. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Maybe just after watching that other movie, it just wasn't as interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that it's necessarily a bad movie, just it wasn't as interesting as that first one. I mean, both of them have Ted Bundy totally freaking out when they strap him into the electric chair, which I have no idea if that really happened, but I just think that's interesting. I think we're supposed to like cheer or something when he's like, towards the end, because like he deserves it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting that they both did that. For how different they were, they both did that. Had him, and I don't know if maybe we're supposed to sympathize with him. I'm not sure what they were going for, but I just thought that was interesting that they both ended on that note.
It's like, yay?
That's my experience with movies about real-life serial killers on Netflix, so...
That sounds like a title for a reality show. No, but, so, okay, final words.
That was a dick move.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I just realized we hadn't said that the whole...
Okay, casting Kane Hodder for Ed Gein, that was a dick move!
That was a dick move. There we go, we worked it in.
Until next time, try to enjoy the daylight.